If you've heard about Yosemite and you decide you want to see it because it stars James Franco, well, if you're one of those groups, you're going to be sadly disappointed. James Franco is pretty much only in the first third of the movie, so maybe about 20 to 30 minutes of the film, and then he's nowhere to be seen again. Yosemite is a movie that's based off of two of James Franco's short stories, and so in that sense it's kind of okay that he's in the main cover of the film and that, well, his name is the first one listed, but still it feels a little deceiving when he's only in the first third of the movie. The movie is set in the 80s and it's the story of three different kids all intertwining and have their own storylines. While there's possible threat of a mountain lion, honestly I think that's the best way to describe this movie. Now, for a movie that's only an hour and 20 minutes long, this is definitely a movie that requires patience. If you're the kind of audience that doesn't have the patience for films and wants it to get to the point and just get over with quickly, you're not going to like this film. Now, what did I like about this film? Well, the acting was okay. The film was shot nicely, and the setting really does fit the era without it being overly blown to the point where it's a lot of pop culture references. It's none of that. It just definitely feels like it's set in the 80s without it being too overshadowed by the fact that it's in the 80s. It's also a nice little subtle story, and it does have a few ideas and implications throughout the movie that allows the viewer to interpret it the way they feel. Like, for instance, the second story is about this kid that tries to steal something from a convenience store. The owner catches him, but then this older teenager, or young adult, or somewhere along those lines, pays for the kid. They then have this bit of a friendship, and I think the film does nicely to leave it up to the audience on what the implications of this friendship could be, or at least the motivations of this young man. Is it something more pedophile-ish? Is it actually a genuine friendship? Is it because this person used to be like this young kid, a bit of a troublemaker? It's all up for you to decide. Also, the third main character of this film, there's something that he does, or used to do, actually still does, with the second main character. Yeah, this movie has three main characters, they're all kids. It's three different stories all intertwining. But the third main character, he used to be friends with the second. There's this weird thing that they do to each other.
If you look at 3/4, that already has 4 down here. So we don't want to change that. So if we multiply by 1 on the bottom, and we do the same thing at the top, because whatever we do to the bottom, we have to do the top, so the fraction stays the same, we'll end up with 3/4 plus 1/2. Now how are we going to get the 2 to be a 4 on the bottom?
Ow!
And you can definitely interpret it however you like. Either it's just kids fooling around doing some stupid stuff, or maybe this third young character is already learning that maybe he could be gay. It's up for you to decide. I think I liked a lot of those aspects within the movie. There's a lot of moments where it leaves the audience to decide what they feel about the movie, or what the implications, what the ideas all mean. With that said, the movie probably does a little too much of this for the normal mainstream audience. And even for me, it was a little too much as well. Also, whatever you do, don't go into this movie thinking this is going to be some classic like Stand By Me. This is not three kids going on an adventure. Now, the last act of it is, but it's only for pretty much the last 10 minutes of the movie. So it's basically just the climax of the film, where it's sort of an adventure with these three kids going on this adventure to find this mountain lion. So in a way, the movie doesn't feel like it actually picks up and gets going until the last act of the film. And that's where it's going to be very trying for a lot of people. Now, there are things that go on in this movie, but they're more internal things that would be better as a novel rather than an actual movie. But it's a lot of small things that most people will consider very dull for a movie. And I will admit that there are moments in this movie where I was sort of losing attention. I was feeling like it was a little dull. But for the most part, I kind of liked it. I think most people will find that these three stories don't intertwine with each other all that well. Because, let's face it, a lot of people just look at the plot and they don't look at themes and stuff. That's more of critics to do. And so for the most part, most people are going to think, okay, the only way these movies intertwined with each other is they're all in the same class, and so there's classroom scenes where all three of the kids are in. And then the final act, when they actually go on an adventure and you see that, okay, friend number 3 is friends with number 1 when he's not with number 2 anymore. And yeah, I'm just giving the kids numbers right here. But in all honesty, a lot of the themes are very similar with all three stories. Some of the things that these kids go through, the things that they have to deal with, the themes of the movie, they all connect thematically, and that's why it feels like it's actually an successful intertwining of stories, even though you don't see the three of them together all that much. Also, the movie has a very subtle dark side to it. There are so many moments where it doesn't feel like it's a very dramatic moment, but at that same time, I was worrying for the kids because, okay, something's gonna go wrong here. There's definitely several moments where I wasn't particularly on edge, but I felt like, okay, something's gonna go wrong here. Something dark is gonna happen here. And there's sort of this impending doom throughout the film. Now to some, that impending doom might fall flat because ultimately nothing bad tends to happen during these moments. And so to some people, this will feel like it's wasted opportunity. And so Yosemite is a really hard movie to judge because there are things that I definitely liked about the film. Things I loved about the film, honestly. The whole idea of it is really neat to think about. But overall, there's just something missing dramatically that I couldn't really truly get into it. But I'm sure there's going to be some people out there that honestly really like this movie. It's just definitely not for most people. That is for sure. And so I honestly was debating on giving Yosemite 3 stars, but I feel that there is something missing in it, and so I'm going to give Yosemite 2.5 stars. So, have you seen Yosemite? Have you even heard about it? What did you think about it? Go ahead and comment. And if you like this video and you want to see more, please subscribe and check out my 2015 and 2016 movie reviews. As always, this is Bruce Gifford, and this was just my opinion.